up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G, the Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Thank you for joining me here Thursday, or whatever day you're watching the video. But today, here we are doing a return to Big Johnny G's How to Play. I like doing this series. I've gotten a lot of good feedback from this. In fact, so much so that I should be doing more. If I was chasing the YouTube algorithm, this and unboxings would pretty much be the only videos I would do on this channel. Well, and some of the playthroughs. The live shows, yeah. That's pretty much all I would be doing. But I'm not chasing an algorithm. I'm just trying to have fun. And this is fun. So we're going to get down to the table and we are going to see how to play an update to one of the most classic games played around a family table. And that is Uno Avengers. So get ready to assemble the family together, or the friends, and we're going to learn how to play Uno Avengers. Come on, I'll see you down the table. Uno Avengers by Mattel Games. This is good for 2 to 10 players, ages 7 and up. And it should take you less than a half hour to play. Okay, so now the object of the game is to be the first player to get rid of all of your cards in your hand. Then you're going to add up the points of everyone else's hand and continue on to another round. Do the same, another round, do the same, and then the first player who reaches 500? That's what the game suggests, but depending if you want a longer or shorter game, you can change that. So the first person to reach the agreed amount of points, such as 500, wins the game. Now let's see how we set it up and play.
Sorry to disappoint you. Huh? You triggered my trap card!
After taking the cards out of the box, each player is going to take a card off of the top. And the high number will be the dealer. The dealer is going to take the deck, all of the cards, and the dealer is going to make sure to shuffle them all up without losing any of them. And then, after the cards are all shuffled up, he's going to deal each player 7 cards. After setting the deck down, face down, to form the drawer pile, then the dealer is going to turn over the top card and reveal it, placing it in the discard pile, creating a card to begin the chase. Certain cards in Avengers Uno are special cards. They're action cards, and you'll be able to know these cards by the symbols that they have in the top left corner and bottom right corner. This card, for example, that came out during the setup is the reverse card. When you play this card, the direction of play reverses. That is, if play had been currently going to the left next player, then it will change immediately on the spot and go to the right player, who incidentally had just gone, passing it to the left player, gets this card, and now it's going to go back to the right player. Incidentally, if this card comes up as the very first draw in setup, as we saw that it did, then the dealer will start the game instead of the player to his left. Here we have a wild card. Now when you play this card, you get to choose the color that continues play. Any color, including the color in play before the wild card was laid down, can be chosen. You may play a wild card on your turn, even if you have another playable card in your hand. If a wild card is turned up at the beginning of play, the person to the left of the dealer then chooses the color that continues play. Next we have a Draw 2 card. When this card is played, the next player must draw 2 cards and then miss their turn. This card may only be played on a matching color or on another Draw 2 card. If turned up at the beginning of play, this same rule applies. Now that also goes for the reverse card I just showed you, that you can only play a matching color or another reverse card on that as well, just as I said for this with the Draw 2 card. We see some slight changes between the Draw 2 card and this card, the Wild Draw 4 card. Because when you play this card, you, the player of the card, gets to choose the color that continues. Plus, the next player must draw 4 cards from the draw pile and lose their turn. However, there is a hitch. You may only play this card when you do not have another card in your hand that matches the color on the discard pile. But it is acceptable to play this card if you have matching number or action cards. If turned up at the beginning of play, return this card to the deck and pick another card. That's not the only hitch. If you suspect that a Wild Draw 4 card has been played on you illegally, i.e. the player has a matching card, then you may challenge that player. The challenged player must show you, the challenger, their hand. If guilty, the challenged player must draw 4 cards instead of you. However, if the challenged player is innocent, you must draw the 4 cards plus an additional 2 more for a total of 6 cards. This is the skip card. And when you play this card, the next player is skipped. That is, they lose their turn. This card may only be played on a matching color or another skip card. If a skip card is turned up at the beginning of play, the player to the left of the dealer is skipped. Hence, the player to the left of that player will then start the game. Avengers Assemble card. When another player plays Draw 2 or Draw 4 card on you, you may use this card to block it. This card is also a wild card, so you choose the color that resumes play. If this card is turned up at the beginning of play, the person to the left of the dealer chooses the color that begins play. Now to go over the rules one time here, since I think you already got most of them from just talking about the action cards. But it always starts with the player left of the dealer. Except in this case, since that was the top card flipped, so it reverses, and in this case, the dealer is going to start. Only a matching card or a color can be played on top of this, so only another reverse or a yellow. The dealer looks at his hand, sees that he does have a couple of yellows, and he decides to play the +2, so that the next player, which is now to his right instead of left, is going to have to draw 2 cards. And that player secretly looks at them and adds them to his or her hand. During your turn, remember, you must match a card from your hand to the top of the discard pile, either by matching its number, its color, or its symbol. If you have a card that matches any of these, you have to play that card. If you have multiple cards, then you get to choose which one to play. Now, on your turn, if you do not have a matching color or type, nothing at all to match it up, then you're going to have to draw a card from the top of the deck and secretly add it to your hand. Play then continues. In this case, it is still going to the right because of the beginning's reversal card. Now, if that card that had gotten picked up could be played, then you play that card that you just drew if it matches in any way. Now, yes, if you have a card in your hand that you can play, as I stated, you must play it. But you can actually choose not to. And if that's the case and you choose not to, then you have to draw and place that card in your hand. And remember, never let the other players see your cards. Now, as the game winds down and your hand is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and you have 2 cards left in your hand, and you play one of the 2 cards, you have to yell Uno to let the other players know that you are about to possibly win the hand. Now, if you don't yell Uno and a player catches you before the next player begins their turn, then you are going to get jacked into drawing 2 cards into your hand. Now, if the last card is played as a +2 or +4 drawer, then the other players have to draw those cards for the end of the hand. And those cards will be added to the accumulated points for the player that just cashed out. So now the last card has been played from one of the player's hands. So now we're going to score the cards in the other player's control. Now, for all the numbered cards, you will gain the face value for them. 0 through 9 points. Face value for each of the numeric cards. Action cards, well, they score differently. For the Drawer 2 card, Reverse card, and the Skip card, each of them will be scored for 20 points. The Wild card, Wild Drawer 4 card, and the Avengers Assemble card are all worth 50 points in the scoring phase. Then, depending on the score that you would all agreed upon before the game started, such as the suggested 500 points, once that is reached, that is the winner of the game. So, there you go. Very easy, very simple, and very familiar, I'm sure, to most people watching this video. It is, after all, an Uno game. So thank you very much for checking out Big Johnny G's How to Play Uno Avengers. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie Presents. Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here. We're here for another... Oh, what are we doing? God, shooting too many of these back to back. And who is it that is sponsoring Two Gun Pixie? Who could possibly be letting us do whatever we want, however we want, and not kill off who we are? By Gygax's beard, it's us! We are our only sponsors. But we do have a Zazzle store if you want to check out some of our merch and help us out a little bit. And some really cool, funny gaming designs. You see some of them being worn right here by me. So please, if you enjoy Two Gun Pixie, why don't you take a moment and check out our Zazzle store and see some of the designs on t-shirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, and so much more.